Have you ever thought about what you'd do if a heart attack struck and you were completely alone? It's a frightening scenario, and sadly, it happens more often than most people realize. Many assume they'll have warning signs well in advance, or that someone will be nearby to step in and help, but the reality is far less comforting. A heart attack can happen suddenly, without much warning, and the first few minutes are the most critical for survival. What you choose to do or fail to do during that short window can be the deciding factor between life and death. The good news is, even if you live alone or spend most of your time by yourself, survival is still possible if you react quickly and know the right steps to take. In this video, we're going to go over 7 crucial actions you must take from the moment a heart attack begins and you have no one else around. These steps are straightforward, practical, and proven to save lives. You don't need years of medical training or expensive medical devices to follow them. What you do need is the presence of mind to stay calm, focus on the essentials, and act without hesitation. We'll go through everything in detail, explaining how to recognize the earliest warning signs before the situation escalates, what to take immediately to improve your chances, how to position yourself to reduce strain on your heart, and even small strategic actions that can give you just enough extra time for help to arrive. These are things most people overlook until it's too late, but by knowing them in advance, you can put yourself in the best position to survive. Stay with us until the very end, because the last few steps are the ones most often forgotten, yet they could be the exact measures that end up saving your life. Don't wait until it's too late to understand what your body is trying to tell you. Let's get started. Number 1. Recognizing the earliest warning signs. The first and most important step in surviving a heart attack alone is knowing what it feels like, not just in your chest but throughout your entire body. Many people expect the intense, crushing chest pain, often dramatized in movies, but in reality, most heart attacks begin with far subtler symptoms. These early signs can be deceptive, sometimes so mild that they're easy to dismiss until it's too late. Understanding them in detail can give you a vital head start. One of the most common sensations is a deep, heavy pressure or squeezing feeling in the center of your chest. It might feel as though an invisible weight is pressing down on you, or as if your chest is slowly being filled with something dense, making it hard to breathe. Sometimes the discomfort doesn't stay constant. It can fade, return, and then intensify again, which tricks many people into thinking it's nothing serious. But if this sensation lingers for more than a few minutes or comes back repeatedly, you must treat it as a red flag. Heart attacks are not always limited to chest symptoms. Shortness of breath is another early signal, and it can appear even without any chest discomfort at all. You might suddenly feel as though you've just climbed a steep set of stairs when in fact you've barely moved. Pain or discomfort can also spread beyond the chest, radiating into the arm, shoulder, neck, jaw, or even the upper back. For some, the signs are less obvious: lightheadedness, a sudden cold sweat, nausea, dizziness, or an unexplained feeling of weakness. In older adults or women, the symptoms can be even more atypical, sometimes showing up as a pressure or aching sensation in the back or stomach rather than the chest. Consider the experience of Richard, 74, who was sitting at his kitchen table when he noticed a strange tightness just beneath his collarbone, something he initially thought was mild heartburn. But then he realized he couldn't take a deep breath, and his palms began to sweat. That combination of symptoms rang a bell from an article he had read about silent heart attacks. Instead of ignoring it or waiting to see if it passed, he called for help immediately. That single choice may have been the reason he survived. The truth is, the body often sends out quiet warnings before it escalates into something more severe. When it comes to a heart attack, those early whispers are your best and sometimes only opportunity to intervene before irreversible damage begins. Waiting until symptoms become dramatic could mean you've already lost precious time. So if you ever experience an unusual combination of pressure, shortness of breath, sudden fatigue, or discomfort in unexpected areas, stop whatever you're doing, sit down, pay attention. Recognizing these early warning signs is your first real chance at survival. Treat them with urgency, even if they seem small or harmless. That split-second decision to take them seriously could be the difference between life and death. Number 2. Calling emergency services immediately. Once you suspect that a heart attack may be starting, the very next step, without hesitation, must be to call 911. This is not the time to wait and see if the discomfort fades, or to convince yourself that it's probably nothing. Heart attack symptoms can escalate rapidly, and waiting even a few extra minutes can mean the difference between surviving with minimal damage and not surviving at all. Do not try to drive yourself, and do not assume you're overreacting. When your heart is in distress, time is the one thing you cannot afford to waste. Calling emergency services is not only the quickest way to get help, it's the most effective action you can take to protect your life. A heart attack is not something the body can simply push through without immediate intervention. Every passing minute without oxygen increases the amount of permanent damage to your heart muscle. By calling 911, you set in motion a chain of events that gets trained paramedics moving toward you with life-saving equipment, medication, and the skills to restart your heart if it stops before you reach the hospital. If your symptoms worsen, which they often do during a heart attack, you will quickly reach a point where you cannot help yourself. That's why driving on your own is one of the most dangerous choices people make in this situation. Not only could you lose consciousness behind the wheel, but you could also cause a serious accident, putting yourself and others at risk and delaying your own treatment even further. Let professionals come to you so they can begin treatment immediately, even before you leave your home. Consider Linda, 78, who felt a dull ache in her left shoulder that was quickly followed by a wave of nausea and a cold, clammy sweat. Her first thought was to call her son, but then she remembered something a nurse had once told her. If you're alone and think you might be having a heart attack, call 911 first, talk to your family later. She followed that advice. By the time the ambulance arrived, her symptoms had become much more severe, but the team was prepared. They began treatment right there in her living room, stabilizing her before the ride to the hospital. That single phone call likely saved her life. You don't need to be certain you're having a heart attack before calling for help. Emergency dispatchers would rather respond to a false alarm than miss a critical window to save someone's life. The fear of being wrong should never outweigh the possibility of saving your own life. Keep your phone somewhere accessible at all times, especially if you live alone. If you feel the symptoms starting and find it difficult to speak clearly, use your phone's emergency call function. Many phones have a shortcut that can dial 911 even when locked. Learn how it works on yours and practice it so you can use it without hesitation. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Number 3. Chewing an aspirin slowly and calmly. After calling emergency services, the next most important action you can take is remarkably simple but incredibly effective. Chew an aspirin, not swallow. Chew and do it slowly, even if your hands are trembling or you feel panicked. If you have access to a standard 325 milligrams aspirin and you're not allergic to it or taking a medication that would make it unsafe, such as certain blood thinners, this single step can dramatically improve your chances of surviving a heart attack. Aspirin works by interfering with the blood's ability to clot. During a heart attack, a clot often forms in one of the coronary arteries, blocking the blood supply to part of the heart muscle. By thinning the blood and preventing the clot from growing larger, aspirin helps keep some blood flowing where it's needed. Chewing the tablet instead of swallowing it whole speeds up the absorption into your system, allowing it to start working within minutes. This faster action can make a difference between a partial blockage and a complete shutdown before paramedics even arrive. While it's true that aspirin can irritate the stomach if taken without food, during a suspected heart attack, the benefits far outweigh that concern. If the only aspirin you have is coated or labeled as delayed release, chew it anyway. In an emergency, speed matters far more than comfort. The goal is to get the active ingredient into your bloodstream as quickly as possible so it can start reducing the damage. Consider the example of Joe, age 72. One morning, he noticed a tightness spreading from his chest up toward his neck and jaw. He remembered a conversation with his doctor about heart attack first aid and recalled the importance of chewing aspirin immediately. He kept a small bottle in his kitchen cabinet, so he grabbed one, chewed it thoroughly, and sat down to wait for the ambulance. Later, his cardiologist told him that his quick decision to take aspirin likely reduced the amount of heart muscle damage he sustained. That small, everyday pill bought him valuable time. If you live alone, make aspirin part of your emergency plan. Keep it in places you spend the most time, your nightstand, your kitchen, or even a small packet in your pocket or wallet. Check the expiration dates regularly and let your family know where it's stored so they can find it quickly if they ever need to help you. This may seem like too small a step to matter in such a serious situation, but it is one of the most widely recommended and scientifically supported actions you can take during the onset of a heart attack. Emergency responders across the globe carry aspirin for this very reason. Chewing it in those first critical minutes isn't just a helpful tip, it's an intervention that can tip the scales towards survival and recovery. Number 4. Sitting or lying down to protect your heart. Once you have called for help and taken aspirin, your next responsibility is to protect your heart by staying as still as possible. At this stage, movement is your enemy. Any unnecessary activity will increase your heart's workload, forcing it to pump harder at a time when it is already struggling to circulate enough oxygen-rich blood. That extra strain can push your condition from dangerous to deadly in minutes. The safest and most effective position is to sit with your back supported, feet flat on the floor, and arms resting loosely at your sides or on your lap. This posture allows your chest to remain open for easier breathing while minimizing the effort your body must make. If you begin to feel lightheaded, or as though you might pass out, lie down on your side with your head slightly elevated to keep your airway clear and blood flowing properly. Avoid lying completely flat unless you cannot sit up, as that can make breathing more difficult for some people. Many people in these moments feel compelled to do something, pick up belongings, straighten the house, or even open the door for paramedics. Resist the urge unless it is absolutely necessary for your safety. Your heart attack is not the time to prove toughness or independence. Stillness is an active choice here, not a passive one. By keeping your body calm, you are giving your heart a fighting chance to maintain function until medical help arrives. Consider the story of Alice, 81, who felt a heavy spreading pressure across her chest one quiet afternoon. Her instinct was to tidy the kitchen so she would not leave a mess behind, but she remembered her doctor's advice: if you think it's your heart, sit down, everything else can wait. She lowered herself into her recliner, leaned back, and focused on steady breathing until the paramedics arrived. Her cardiologist later told her that keeping still likely prevented her already weakened heart from slipping into full cardiac arrest before she reached the hospital. If symptoms appear, chest pressure, shortness of breath, dizziness, stop immediately, even if you are in the middle of a task. Move only as far as needed to get to a safe place to sit or lie down. While seated, keep your back supported so you do not slump forward, which can restrict airflow. A relaxed, upright posture will make breathing easier and allow your heart to conserve its limited energy. The goal is to help your body focus on one priority: survival. Number 5. Unlocking your door for emergency responders. If you still have enough strength after calling for help and settling yourself into a safe position, one of the smartest and most helpful things you can do is unlock your front door. It may feel like a small, almost trivial step in the middle of a medical crisis, but in the world of emergency care, even a few seconds can mean the difference between recovery and irreversible damage. A locked door can slow down paramedics at the very moment when time is working against you. Of course, paramedics are trained to get inside by force if necessary, but breaking in costs valuable time. It also risks causing damage to your property and could even startle or jolt you when you are already in a fragile state. If you are close to your front door and feel steady enough to reach it without straining yourself, unlocking it ahead of time allows responders to come straight in and begin treatment without losing a beat. That small action could buy you minutes your heart desperately needs. If you live alone, particularly in a building with secured entry or a gated community, it's worth thinking through these details long before an emergency happens. Ask yourself whether your door can be opened quickly from the inside, if your address is clearly visible to someone approaching, and whether you have a plan for getting a key to someone nearby if needed. Having these answers ready in advance takes the guesswork out of the moment and allows you to act quickly when seconds count. Consider the example of Paul, 76, who lives in a small condo. When his symptoms began, he wasted no time. He called 911, chewed an aspirin, and unlocked his door all within 2 minutes. The paramedics later told him that walking into an unlocked home saved them from having to break in and allowed them to reach him around 30 seconds faster. Those 30 seconds might not seem like much to most people, but in cardiac emergencies, they can be everything. Paul later admitted that unlocking the door was the last thing he thought would matter, but it might have been exactly what gave him a fighting chance. If getting to the door feels unsafe or too physically demanding, do not risk it. Your safety comes first, and sitting still to protect your heart is always the priority. But if you are close enough and feel steady on your feet, making that quick move can remove one more barrier between you and the help you need. For added security, you might also think about installing a smart lock that can be opened remotely, or a medical lockbox containing a spare key for emergency services. These preparations may seem minor, but they send a clear message to rescuers: you've done everything in your power to make their job faster and easier, and now you are ready for them to do the rest. Number 6. Using your phone's speaker or medical ID features. If you are waiting alone during a heart attack, your phone becomes much more than a way to make calls. It turns into your lifeline. One of the smartest and most practical things you can do in that moment is to switch to speakerphone. This allows you to keep your hands free, speak without straining, and focus entirely on controlling your breathing and staying as calm as possible. Holding a phone to your ear may seem like a small effort, but when your body is under stress, even that movement can make it harder to breathe and maintain your energy. Speakerphone also helps emergency dispatchers hear you more clearly. Even if your voice weakens, they can pick up on subtle changes, your breathing patterns, background noises, or even the strain in your tone, which can give them valuable information about your condition in real time. If you suddenly become too weak to respond, keeping the line open on speakerphone means they can still listen for sounds that indicate your status, guiding the paramedics before they arrive. Beyond making the call itself easier, your phone holds another potentially life-saving tool: the medical ID feature. On an iPhone, it can be accessed directly from the lock screen without unlocking the device, and most Android phones have a similar function. This feature contains important details, such as your age, known medical conditions, current medications, allergies, and emergency contacts. In a situation where you lose consciousness or can't communicate, having this information readily available can shave off precious time and help paramedics make safer, faster decisions. A clear example of this comes from Susan, 79, who collapsed just moments before the paramedics reached her. Because her phone had a complete medical ID set up, the responders instantly knew she had diabetes and was allergic to penicillin. That knowledge helped them avoid giving her a medication that could have caused serious harm, and also allowed them to contact her daughter immediately. All of that happened without Susan saying a single word. Setting up your medical ID takes only a few minutes, but stays in place indefinitely, ready for any future emergency. It is worth including your name, date of birth, significant medical conditions, all current medications, known allergies, and 1 or 2 trusted emergency contacts. This isn't just a feature for people comfortable with technology, it's for anyone who might one day need someone else to speak on their behalf when they cannot. So if you ever feel those first symptoms of a heart attack, whether it's chest pressure, shortness of breath, or sudden dizziness, don't just grab your phone, use it wisely. Switch to speakerphone and let the calm, steady voice on the other end guide you through the wait. Those instructions, and the reassurance that you are not alone, can make those minutes far less frightening. And if something happens before help arrives, your phone's medical ID could become the voice you no longer have, speaking for you when you need it most. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here, and if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Number 7. Slowing your breath to steady your heart. In the middle of a heart attack, panic can creep in fast. Your chest tightens, your breathing turns shallow, your mind races, and it feels like the clock is screaming at you. But even in that chaos, you still have one powerful tool that is entirely in your control: your breath. The way you breathe in those moments can make a real difference, not in curing the heart attack, but in helping your body stay as stable as possible until professional help arrives. When panic rises, your body naturally shifts into fight or flight mode, flooding you with stress hormones and often speeding up your heart. That extra strain is the last thing your heart needs when it's already under attack. By consciously slowing your breath, you send a signal to your nervous system to ease that reaction. It's not about magically fixing the problem, it's about buying your heart a little more room to work without being pushed into dangerous rhythms caused by fear and stress. You don't need a complicated breathing method. A simple, steady pattern works best. Breathe in slowly through your nose for around 4 seconds, pause for just a moment, and then exhale gently through your mouth for about 6 seconds. Repeat that cycle. If your mind starts to wander, or the pain distracts you, keep bringing your focus back to that rhythm. Imagine your breath as a steady anchor in a storm, something solid that holds you in place when everything else feels unsteady. Frank, 83, learned the value of this the hard way. When the crushing pain hit, fear nearly overtook him. His thoughts were racing toward the worst outcome, but then he remembered a breathing exercise his doctor had once shown him during a routine checkup. He locked onto that pattern: slow inhale, pause, slow exhale, again and again. By the time the paramedics arrived, his heart was still unstable, but it hadn't spiraled into cardiac arrest. Later he said, "All I kept telling myself was, stay calm, stay alive. And I think that's what saved me." This kind of breathing isn't just for emergencies. Practicing it in everyday life, when you're resting, when you feel stressed, or even while watching TV, helps train your body to return to it naturally when fear strikes. In a crisis, that familiarity can make it easier to steady yourself without overthinking. It won't clear blocked arteries or stop the attack itself, but it can keep oxygen flowing to your body, help your heart avoid dangerous rhythms, and give you the precious minutes you need until help is at your side. Stay still, stay alive. Final thoughts. At the end of the day, surviving a heart attack alone is rarely just a matter of luck. It is built on preparation, quick awareness, and calm, deliberate action when every second counts. The 7 steps you've learned may seem simple when looked at individually, but together they create a strong and connected chain that can give you the best possible chance at survival. Recognizing the warning signs without hesitation, calling for help the moment you suspect trouble, taking aspirin if it's safe for you, sitting or lying down to conserve every bit of strength, making sure emergency responders can reach you quickly, using your phone's features to your advantage, and slowing your breathing to help your heart hold steady. All of these actions work together to protect your life in those critical minutes. Each of these measures has its own power. Every one of them can buy you a little more time, give you a little more control, and help you feel a little less at the mercy of the situation. Most importantly, they serve as proof that even in the most frightening and isolating moments, you are not completely powerless. A heart attack may feel like the ultimate moment of being alone, but these steps are a reminder that knowledge and preparation put some control back in your hands. You are not helpless, not even for a second, when you know what to do and act on it. So take a moment to ask yourself, what stood out most to you today? Was there a step that had never crossed your mind before, or one that you now see as more critical than you once thought? Think about how you can put these ideas into practice in your own life, whether that means setting up your medical ID on your phone, keeping aspirin in a place you can reach easily, or simply practicing calm breathing. And consider sharing what you've learned with someone close to you. A simple conversation today might not just protect your own life in the future, it could be the reason someone you love makes it through a heart attack alive. Thank you for being here with us today and taking the time to learn something that could one day save a life. We'd truly love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share the most valuable thing you learned and how you might use it if you ever need to. Your thoughts and feedback are important to us, and reading your comments gives us motivation and encouragement to keep doing this work. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, please like, subscribe, and share it with others. Your support allows us to keep creating content that informs, equips, and inspires. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.